Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to start with a new chapter, 10th Standard Chemistry and Physics, Unit 11, Principles of Metallurgy, Series number 1 is going to be started. In the earlier session, we completed electromagnetism and its consequent applications in our day-to-day life. All those topics were completed in Unit 10. And in addition to that, Unit 1 to 10, all are available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Now we entered into metallurgy. Metallurgy is the process where we are extracting various kind of minerals, ores from the earth crust, and they get transformed, finally refined into a metals, which can be fabricated into various instruments, which we are using in industries, domestic, and even various automobiles. In so many regions, these kind of materials get applied. So let us dive into our series number 1 of Unit 11, Principles of Metallurgy. So here, let us recap. We are going to recollect the previous concepts. In the class 8, you have studied about certain properties of metals like malleability, ductility, and sonority. Let us have a glance on these topics. What is meant by malleability, ductility, and sonority? This is a recollection of our previous concepts. And what is meant by malleability? Malleability is the kind of phenomenon where substance can be hammered when we are applying the external force. When it is subjected to hammering and rolled into a thin sheets, the extent how extent we are going to make into thin, that is called it's a malleable property. How extent we are applying the force, that extent, that lengthening of material is possible, and we may make a thin sheets of this metallic material, which is denoted as a malleability. Among all the known metals in the periodic table, gold is the most malleable metal. That's the reason why it is having ornamental value. By taking a small pinch of material, we can drag, we can extend into various kinds. That's the reason why it is having ornamental value. Right. Move on to another property called ductility. See, ductility is nothing but even by applying force, the metal can be dragged into a wire kind of system. If sheets are made, a thin sheet made, that type of materials. For example, we are taking conducting copper, so that wire is made up of copper, and that can be drawn into a thin wire. So that here metal having tendency to drawn into a wire type of material is denoted as its ductility. And any other property, all the metals having these are common features in general, right? So here any kind of metal we may take, because all the metals are having regular three-dimensional arrangement. By applying the external force, you may draw into a sheet or wire type of material. Move on to another common property of a metallic material, that is sonority. Sonority is nothing but by applying the external force, we may get a noisy sound, that is denoted as a sonority. If you go with the bronze, for example, that is the most commonly applied a bell metal, we can say. So whatever bells we are using in the temples as well as in the art schools, otherwise alarming system, all those are having the tendency of originating the noise called a sonority. The ability of metals to produce a particular kind of sound upon tapping them on its hard surface is denoted as a sonority, right? All the metals having this function also, right? So any metal when subjected to external application of the force, by tapping upon that used to generate or indicate certain extent of noise, that noisy tendency, especially bronze materials having this tendency, so that they are used as a bell metals, right? So it is a combination, it is a blend of two materials. What are the materials in bronze? Bronze is made up of copper and tin, right? So in that way, alloy materials, various applications are there, and they are also having the feature called the sonority. One is called malleability, ductility, and sonority. These are the common features which we already collected, which we already covered in your earlier classes. Move on to another application point of view of these metals. In what way metals are applicable in our daily life? In what way they are becoming a part of the progress of any kind of civilization and culture? Let us see. Metals play an important role in our daily life. Obviously, it will be, because in so many kind of navigations, we are applying these metallic materials, right? So we use various metals for various purposes, like gold and silver, mostly used in a jewelry, and copper, iron, aluminum, such materials having industrial importance. They are drawn into wires and also making utensil type of materials as well. We use many household articles which are made up of metals, especially stainless steel, right? So tin coated stainless steel will be applied, which is a commonly used, and even copper bottomed and copper coated articles also available as a utensils, right? So all these are having daily applications which are purely made, are blended with any other materials also, because when you go with a Teflon coating, that is a blend of organic material on the metallic surface. In that way, metals may be taken in their own pure form, otherwise blended with any other metals as well, called alloy forms, because pure metal, any pure metal, if we are considering, that may not suitable for the application. If you are taking gold, as such, we can't make into any kind of ornament. Rather, we have to blend with the copper in order to give its toughness and hardness. That's the reason why alloy forms are having more strength and toughness as compared to their pure form. That's why most of the metals can be blended with the suitable required materials, and they can be fabricated, they can be molded into desired form, right? So in this manner, in our daily life, we are mostly associated with various number of metallic articles in a kitchen, in your what conducting material, right? So when you are taking what industrial materials, machineries, and when you are taking these railways, airports, in all the cases, most of the what moving objects and all these are made up of metallic articles only. So likewise, metal having a pivotal role in all kind of daily life applications of human beings. Now, these are the few of examples which we are using in our daily life for the purpose of various applications, right? So metals can be used in the building constructional material. Steel is a constructional material, and another is about utensils. In our domestic purpose, we are applying various alloy forms of metallic articles as a cooking utensils. And these are the objectives which we are using for worshipping. And next is about these are electronic, electrical wires, conducting wires, which are made up of metals and their alloy forms and properly insulated. And these are machinery which we are using in an industrial purpose. And these are the various kind of materials which having various distinctive applications in this regard. All these are the bundles of applications. It is not sufficient to what collate all the kind of applications in the single region. That's why a few of the materials are taken for your reference. And do metals exist in nature in the same form as that we are using in our daily life? So whatever material, for example, if we are using stainless steel article in our kitchen, as such, is it available in the nature, or any kind of transformations we are doing in this regard? Let us discuss in detail. So no metal is available in its native state. Rather, most of the metals are found in a mineral form, otherwise a ore form. Mineral is nothing but basically any metal having tendency to bind with oxygen, sulfur, halogens, all these compounds that come that kind of metal carbonates, metal sulfates, metal chlorides, metal hydroxide, all these whichever available in the earth crust are denoted as the minerals. Minerals are nothing but these are the sources from which we are converting these materials into a pure form, right? So even though here metals available, but they are accompanied by various kind of impure materials along with them, and they can be properly processed and finally refined in order to make a pure metal. This entire system is regarded as a metallurgical process, right? So this is a kind of transformation which we are using in order to mold into a required specific kind of materials. Now, Have you ever heard about a word like ore, mineral, and metallurgy? What kind of words all these, and can you find any difference among all these? What is meant by ore, what is mineral, and what is meant by metallurgical process? Let us go one by one in detail. Here you can clearly see some of the materials which are available in the earth crust, just extracted from the underground of the earth. These are regarded as the mineral materials, are ores. And here also a slight stratification between ore and the mineral. We will discuss what could be the stratification line between ore and the mineral. Let us go with the first term called ore. What is meant by ore? Ore is a natural rock or sediment. It contains one or more valuable minerals in that, typically containing metals, and that can be mined, treated, and sold at a profit. Minerals, ore, I think it is very clear, because whenever any kind of a rock system which extracted from the earth crust, after entire process of its, first we have to go with the initial pre-treatment, followed by purification, followed by refining, and the purest form of metal can be extracted as a in a final state. This is the entire process where we are having suitable kind of methodologies in order to convert combined form of that material into a pure state. During this entire process, that should become economic in nature. That means after the extraction of metal, so the extent of application should be more when compared to its fabrication. For example, if you are spending 15,000 rupees for metal extraction, followed by refining everything, 15,000 spent on the extraction process. Later, after making into a useful material like machinery or any kind of automobile, any kind of whatever application, that should be still profitable when compared to its fabrication, extraction followed by fabrication as well. That is nothing but profitable amount of material should be present in the given rock system, whichever present in the earth crust, that is denoted as a ore. Economically profitable material from which we can extract the maximum extent of metal from that is denoted as a ore. Most probably it can be suitable, it is suitable to define whenever any rock is having maximum around 60% of metal and remaining 40% impurities are there, then you can regard this as a ore. If 20% metal is there, remaining 80% impurities are there, what kind of effort we have to keep, and what kind of output we will get? Only 20% metal is there, remaining 80% is the wastage. In that case, we can't regard that as a ore. That will become a mineral. Mineral will be a material where metal will be there, that may be extractable or not, but there is a quantity. So some extent, very smaller extent, that is regarded as mineral. Very larger extent also regarded as a mineral. Mineral is nothing but, so that contains a metal, that percentage of metal varies from, even 10% metal is there, that is also mineral. 99% of metal is there, that is also regarded as a mineral. But ore is nothing but maximum extent of metal what we are trying to extract, that should be regarded as a ore. All minerals are not becoming ores, because if 10% metal is there, that may not become ore, because so during the extraction you have to spend much effort and you will get very little after the completion of the process. Expenditure on that complete extraction will be very high when compared to its further application. That will not be a worthwhile process. That may not be regarded as a ore. Ore is nothing but profitable extent of metal should be present. Then only it can be extracted, fabricated, further applied. So there is such a kind of stratification you can clearly notice. All minerals may not become ores, but ore is the part of mineral, because in that mineral you may have different ranges, right? 10% metal is there, that is also mineral. 40% mineral is there, that is also mineral. If 80% is there, that is also mineral. If you're going with 99%, that is also mineral. But ore is a profitable extent of metal containing material. That is the distinctive property in between. Now let us move on to mineral. Mineral is a naturally occurring in general and inorganic most basically, but some extent of organic part may be present along with them, and a solid kind of material. So yes, obviously minerals are extracted. Mineral sources are two. One is earth crust and second is the ocean. Ocean is also a big source of mineral extraction, right? So most probably these minerals are available in the form of solid state only, solid form only, right? Next is about crystalline. All the minerals, because minerals basically having metals, right? Always metals existing in crystalline form. Obviously, minerals also exist in crystalline form, right? So here all the minerals are associated with crystalline structure. Crystalline is nothing but close packing, regular, three-dimensional arrangement, systematic arrangement. That is denoted as a crystalline. You may go with either amorphous form. Amorphous is nothing but random arrangement will be there. That is also regarded as a solid, but may not be considered as a crystalline. When we consider any powdery materials, those powdery materials may not be crystal, but they are solids only, right? So most of the minerals are crystalline in nature, and chemical composition is definite. Okay, if you go with the bauxite, bauxite is made up of Al2O3, hydrated Al2O3 will be the bauxite, right? So in that way, definite composition will be there for the given minerals. So composition will be fixed. From that, you can extract the metals, right? Then these are the important properties of minerals. Minerals may have various ranges of metals percentage in that, but what extent? Even 2% metal is there, that is also regarded as a mineral. So many kind of minerals are available in the earth crust. Earth crust is made up of so many combination of metals with another kind of materials like chlorides, bicarbonates, carbonates, sulfates, so oxides. So in so many ways they are available, and even more than one metal is also present in the mineral. So if you go with carnallite, it is a combination of potassium and magnesium, both the metals as well. That's the reason why here some of the minerals within the native state, they're available in the mixed, in the blended form, right? Then we entered into another concept called metallurgy. What is meant by metallurgy? Let us define. Metallurgy is a domain of materials, material science it will be, and it is a part of engineering that studies the physical and chemical behavior of the metallic elements, their intermetallic compounds, and their mixtures, which all are denoted as alloys, right? Here, metallurgy is the process, not only the extraction. After the extraction, we have to go with the detailed study of their properties, and in what way we have to blend with any other materials in order to fabricate into useful articles. So all the system entirely denoted as a metallurgy. Metallurgy may be regarded as a science as well as engineering, because without technology it is not possible to explore, right? So here it is the combination of science and engineering as well, and associated with physical and chemical behavior, because without studying their internal properties, it is not possible to fabricate and find the suitable area of application of that one. That's the reason why we have to go with the keen observation of what kind of properties they are exhibiting, how extent they are stable for the external conditions. Based on that, we can put these materials in the suitable regime. Metallurgy comprises of three steps. Whatever the extraction of material and whatever the mineral we are taking from the earth crust, that may follow three distinctive steps. One is concentration of ore. Concentration of ore is nothing but first we are taking a bulk tons of material first. Tons of material may not be entirely converted into metal, right? First, we have to exclude the part which is not exactly important. That kind of washing, that kind of grinding, that kind of treating with suitable material in order to increase its percentage of metal. That is called a concentration. Concentration is nothing but discarding the impurity materials and improving the quantity of metal is regarded as a concentration. Later, isolation of metal from the concentrated ore. Exact finding After concentrating, what we have to do, we have to extract the metal. So metal may present in oxide, metal may present in sulfate, metal may present in bicarbonate. In so many ways it is available, right? So from that combined form, what we are doing by either chemical treatment, mechanical treatment, thermal treatment, photolysis, electrolysis, various kind of operations will be done on that combined material. Later it will be transformed into a pure metallic state. So in that way, isolation of metal is nothing but extraction of the metal. That means separation of the metal from the combined form is a second one. After that, so if you're separating that metal, that again it is not in the 100% pure form. That's the reason why what we have to do, we have to go for the further purification. This is denoted as a refining. Refining is nothing but increasing or purifying or removing the entire quantity of impurities which are associating with that one. So this is the step 3. Whatever the mineral, whatever the ore we are extracting from the earth crust, that used to follow these 3 fundamental steps. One is concentration, followed by isolation, and consequently purification of the metal are taken here. This entire process is regarded as a metallurgy. After the purification, we have to go with the detailed study of its properties and what kind of blending is required, what kind of additives from the external source are required. All those can be clearly observed on this platform called the metallurgy. Now, let us have a glance on what is concentration, what is isolation, what is refining here. Concentration is nothing but in this manner we are discarding the magnetic particles and the non-magnetic particles. Obviously, most of the metals, most of the minerals are associated with iron, so that here ferrous, non-ferrous. Basically, we can classify the mineral materials into 2 kinds, because most, as already we familiar that most of the instruments and any kind of articles, you may go with automobiles, you may go with industrial machinery, you may go with the internal building constructional material, you may go with any domestic utensil material. Most of the articles are made up of iron and its related compounds in a major extent, right? And even in the earth crust, major quantity of the minerals are iron, ferrous material. That's why most of the minerals on the basic origin, they are classified into 2 types. One is a ferrous material, second is non-ferrous material, right? So here in that manner we can separate based on its magnetic property. Obviously, iron is being it is a ferromagnetic material, we can separate based on its magnetic property, and non-magnetic compounds are discarded, are separated. This is the kind of system where we can easily apply for this concentration of ore, right? So this is one of the method. I'm not saying this is only the method for concentration. This is one kind of method for the concentration of ore. So based on its magnetic property, some materials are deposited in the fixed region. Non-iron or non-ferrous materials, being it is non-magnetic, and they get separated from that. It is the simplest method, one kind of concentration of ore. And next is about isolation. As we discussed, isolation is nothing but metal combined form get treated with the various methods, various distinctive method, because that depends upon the type of ore we are choosing. This isolation is selective for selective kind of metals. So here we have distinctive methods. All those are going to be discussed in the next sessions in a detailed manner, right? So here isolation of metals are required in order to separate metal with its combined compound. So this is a part of separation of pure metal. And refining of metals. Refining simply nothing but if metal is 70% is there and 30% impurities are there by this isolation process, for example. In that case, it is not sufficient for fabrication. This may not be used. This raw material or impure material may not be sufficient for the application further. What we need, 100% purity is needed for. So in that case, we have to go with further purification. That is denoted as a refining. Refining where we are discarding all the impurities and maximizing the percentage of metal at a larger extent, almost nearing. It is not possible to get 100% pure, 99, 98, 97. At that extent, the purity we will get by the process called refining. In most of the cases, electrolysis can be employed in order to purify the metals in this final step. This is a kind of system which all these are collectively denoted as the process called metallurgy. Now, do you know how these metals are obtained? How can we get all these? Because there is a separate branch called metallurgy, and there is a separate kind of system will be there in order to predict what kind of mineral it will be and how extent it is profitable to extract from that, and what kind of method and treatment we require for final extraction into a pure form. So that entire system is in a sequential manner, and it may go with the number of steps in order to convert that kind of combined compound into a pure metallic state. So this sequential study totally regarded as a metallurgical process that purely depends upon some kind of principles and strategies. Do you know how these metals are obtained? So by the process called metallurgy, and here the conceptual framework was given, and step-by-step discussion will be carried in the foregoing series. To understand these questions, you need to know about metallurgy. In this chapter, we discuss various concepts related to metallurgy and the process by which we are able to obtain the pure form of the metal, and which can in turn used in our day-to-day life, right? So various sequential steps are required, and so many kind of treatments are required, and finally refinement is required in order to fabricate, in order to blend with other materials, in order to make into your object of usage. So that is the sequential and the conceptual framework in order to understand this entire branch of metallurgy. Metallurgy is the process of extraction of metals from their ores. Already we got the clarification regarding what is the mineral and what is the ore. Mineral is simply any material which is made up of metal, and some other impurities may be associated. So that may ranges from lower extent to maximum extent of metal in that composition. But ore is a material where maximum percentage of metal will be there, minimum percentage of impurities will be there, which is profitable and suitable for the extraction and further process of fabrication. Those are regarded as ores. So from this ore, the sequential steps whichever involved for the extraction, that entire process is regarded as a metallurgy. In the human history, in terms of material, have a bronze age, iron age. Pertaining to metals, they started to use bronze, alloy of copper and tin, and iron. Now we have more than 75% of metals among the elements available. So when we go to the ancient history of civilization, where first life evaluated with the natural things which were available in our surroundings, that is called rock era. So rock era, mostly rock carved into a kind of materials whichever suitable for their daily activities. Further, human civilization is rapidly growing, and there is a development. Always human being having thrived to move towards the advancement. In that regard, next invention was a alloy called copper and tin, which is regarded as a bronze. So many kind of articles made up of these bronze materials, and this kind of flourishment of civilization was done. This is regarded as a bronze age. Later, invention of iron was done, and the iron carbureted articles, so many are available. And nowadays, even we are using such a kind of iron and its related blended articles, and so many advancements have been done, and even metals with non-metal kind of composite materials also made till date. So here there is a rapid exploration in this metallurgical processes. Now we have more than 75% of metal among the elements available. As we are already familiar that in the given periodic table, till now around how many? So 108, you may say 115, 115 elements are discovered in the entire periodic table. In that periodic table, we have 4 segments: S block, P block, D block, F block are available. Purely S block elements, entire S block elements are purely metals. P block elements most probably non-metals, but the bottommost elements are metals. D block elements entirely metals. Those are regarded as a transition metals. A block elements purely metals. Again, these are regarded as inner transition metals. All A block elements are radioactive in nature. Right. So in this manner, as already we are familiar that 75% of metals, so in the entire elements which we already known, among all 75% of elements are metals, remaining the minor extent 25% will be non-metallic substances. Right. That's the reason why there is a great importance of these materials in our daily life. Now, how the metals are present in nature, how can we extract, and what kind of process we have to follow. Metals exist in the earth crust. We already know metals having two sources basically. One is earth crust, from the core to the surface we have so many kind of materials. So basically total earth crust from the core to open surface we can classify into three strategic phases, three strategic parts. One is called NIFA, Nika, NEMA. So that is nothing but combination of nickel iron, combination of nickel cobalt, combination of nickel manganese. That depends upon the percentage of these blends. So here, from the core to earth surface, so many kind of layers, so many kind of minerals are available. Most commonly, most abundantly, iron. Actually, most abundant metal on the earth surface will be aluminium, but most widely applied metal will be iron, right? Most abundantly metal will be aluminium, but most widely applied means basic applications are very high for iron, right? So here in this manner, in the earth crust and even from the oceanic region, you can find so many kind of extraction of metals are possible. As we are aware that from the oceanic region, the major content of metal available will be sodium chloride. Later magnesium sulfate will be there in the oceanic region. From that you can extract this. And apart from this, so many metals in the form of minerals, in the form of salts, in the form of a blended form, they are available. So in the earth crust as well as in the oceanic region, metals exist in the earth crust. Typically, pure metals are found in the minerals in the form of rocks. Simply, if you dig into a soil, collect the rocks, you are likely to find the metals because they are found in the nature. Metals tends to form a compounds which are called minerals. So always metals are found in the form of minerals, and they are represented in various colors and various compositions, various kind of texture, various kind of strength, and their properties as well. So these are having blended materials of various in various combinations. We have to extract them, we have to modify them, we have to purify them, further we have to fabricate. The earth crust is the major source of metals. Sea water also contains some soluble salts such as sodium chloride and magnesium chloride. So here, as already we know, so these are the various layers from the core to outer surface of the earth, where you can find iron, nickel, calcium, cobalt, manganese, aluminium. So many metals are available, and some of the radioactive materials also available in the earth crust. All these are the materials which are available in the blended form, and they can be eventually turned into a pure metallic state. And even from the oceanic region, it is the region where the maximum quantity of water which is blended with various kind of dissolved salts. Mostly oceanic region having minerals, having materials in the form of salts only. Here there is a possibility of oxides, fluorides, hydrides, hydroxides, sulfates, sulfides, all are available in the earth crust. But in the case of oceanic region, you can basically find these minerals in the form of salts only. Most of the salts which are soluble in water. So in a profitable manner, that can be extracted from this, and finally it may be converted into a pure metallic state. Some metals like gold, silver, and copper are available in the nature in the free or native form, right? So you may go with iron, you may go with silver, you may go with copper and platinum. So most of these metals in general, they're available in the form of pure form, and even by combining with any other, they may not be contaminated, they may not be converted into combined, and they are said to be noble metals, right? And they are available in the native form. These are regarded as a noble metals, and they are present in the native form itself in a pure form. So they are least reactive and most stable in nature. Other metals mostly are found in the nature combined form due to their more reactivity. So whatever metal you can take apart from these, so all are available in combined form and having higher reactivity. Elements and compounds of metals which occur in the nature, earth crust, called the minerals. So here, these are reactive in nature. These all the metals being all are reactive, so that they are available in the form of minerals. So this is a kind of system where we can clearly observe in our nature. Now, there is a clear distinction which is provided for your sake. So the extent of purity and type of material we can say. Here you can clearly see minerals may be regarded as a materials which may consist of 10 to 90%. You may take 98% as well. So that extent, that is a range from lower to maximum extent, extremely minimum to extremely maximum extent of purity of metal, percentage of metal available, those all are regarded. This will be a wide range of composition which all together regarded as a mineral. And ore is nothing but where profitable extent of metal will be there, around 70 to 98% we can say. So here, if 70% metal is there, very minimum extent of impurities, very less effort is required in order to collect the metal from this one. This is a profitable way of extraction. That's why. So metallurgical scientist will go with the finding the properties where the profitable extent of metal will be there, where the profitable extraction is possible. So this will be regarded as the ore, where 70 to 90 maximum extent of metal percentage will be there in this. And if we are refining finally, if we are extracting, if we are going with various methodologies in order to convert that ore into a pure metal, where 100% we can say this is the ideal condition, but most possibly it may not be possible in order to achieve this extent, but around on par with 100% here metals, this extent of purity will be there, right? At some places, minerals contain a very high percentage of particular metal. Metal can profitably extracted from that. Those are regarded as ores. Economic losses are very less, and maximum profitable extent of metal can be collected from these materials. Now, aluminium, for example, is the most common metal in the earth crust. As already we know, among all the known elements, the most abundant element will be oxygen, right? So whenever, if you go with the entire periodic table of 115 elements, so in the earth crust, the most abundant element will be oxygen. Later silicon will be there. But when you go with metals, among all the metals, maximum abundant available metal in the earth crust will be aluminium only, right? It is a light metal, and that's the reason why it can be applied in the aviation purpose. And aluminium, for example, most common metal in the earth crust, occurring in the most of the minerals. However, all the minerals are not suitable. You may go with the bauxite, you may go with so many other minerals also available. Al2O3 will be there anhydrous form, corundum, and the bauxite will be their hydrated form, and some other also present, but all are not profitable extent in order to extract. That's the reason why all minerals are not suitable. The suitable mineral will be ore for the extraction. What is that? That will be bauxite. In that bauxite, the extent of aluminium will be 50 to 70% of aluminium oxide will be there, so that it is very suitable for the extraction. Instead, usual ore from which a profitable extraction of bauxite, which contains 50 to 70% of aluminium oxide will be there. So here it is clearly described that on the earth crust, the most abundant metal, I'm instincting that. So it will be a most abundant metal and that is available in the form of bauxite in a profitable manner, and that eventually converted into an extracted purified form called the aluminium, right? So by this we completed session number 1 of this metallurgy, principles of metallurgy. In this session, we described the introductory session for the metallurgy, what could be the process of metallurgical, and what is the stratification between the minerals and ores and eventually metals, and what kind of parameters can be regarded in order to select ore. So all these topics were discussed. This is a simply introduction to your previous knowledge, what you acquired in the earlier classes. Hope this session will helpful for your preparation. Thank you very much for your consistent listening. Thank you, one and all.